Hello, beautiful human beings. So great to connect with you. Our paths have brought us here to this moment, and today I'm going to be sharing with you three amazing tips, practices that you can implement immediately in order to create better communication with everyone you communicate, from your romantic relationships, your significant relationships, your team and business relationships, and your relationship with yourself. How good is that? Let's start by taking a deep breath so that we can connect in even more. Let's do two more because they're so good. Slowing down, becoming even more present. Slow, deep breath in through your nose. Smooth exhale through your mouth. One more. Nice, slow exhale. I imagine you've come here because you're interested in connecting better and communicating better in your relationships. Perhaps you are prone to arguments, disagreements, confrontation, and unresolved communication or a lack of communication. All of these are abundant in the world today, and I'm going to share with you how the meditation practice influences and greatly increases our ability to communicate effectively and in a way that really creates connection, meaningful connection. So if you're new to the channel, meditation practices, I'm going to link the first one below. It is paramount to connect with the present moment through meditation practice in order to get the most juice out of these practices for communication. So the first practice is listening. So we often think of communication as something we put out, is I want to communicate. So I want to concern myself with what I put out there. Well, let's take a step back and check. Was I really listening? Did I listen? Have you ever been in a conversation with somebody where you realize that all they're doing is waiting for their chance to say their piece and that's it? And you felt like you weren't heard, you felt like you weren't understood, and you felt like the communication broke down because their presence was completely focused on what they wanted to say instead of what you were saying, and therefore you felt unheard, ununderstood, right? So it's the same thing, and it works both ways, that if we want to communicate effectively, demonstrating and really listening is the first and most important part of this. What does meditation practice have to do with listening? Well, it requires presence. It requires being connected to yourself so that you can be engaged in the connection that you're creating with the other, whatever that looks like in our relationships, in our friendships, in business, etc. How engaged can you be and connected with the other so they really feel that? And then the possibility of opening up and taking the conversation and the communication even deeper becomes available. So this practice of listening, and I use the word practice very intentionally, you're going to want to practice this. So when you're in communication with somebody, when you are speaking with somebody, when somebody is speaking with you, connect with your breath, connect with your experience in the present moment as you are hearing them and listening to them. Notice what you are feeling. Notice how they are expressing and communicating. And even if you want to take it to another level, notice how they are breathing. You'll recognize if somebody is communicating from a place of stress or a place of being upregulated in their nervous system, meaning it is conflict or angry or we're in an argument. Notice how they're breathing and notice how you are receiving this. So that's the first thing, and that's just the noticing is there to help you stay present. The next thing to do is when the other has finished talking, take a breath, a slow breath, like 2 or 3 seconds, and then reflect. Reflection is something like, "It sounds to me like this is what you are saying." And you say it back exactly as you understood it to the best of your ability. And then you do this. You do another breath or a pause or just a moment to see how your reflection of what they said landed. We're looking for a "that's right. That's right. You got it." And then some kind of confirmation that you understood what they said. This is directly related with our meditation practice of being patient and being present. Because when you practice this, that breath or that subtle pause after hearing what they've said and then after reflecting them can feel really uncomfortable because we are so conditioned and wired to respond immediately. So ultimately, what we are desiring to do here is to slow down your process of communicating so that more connection can be created. And that's ultimately why we want to communicate, right? We want to communicate in order to connect and really build from that connection rather than from the distraction or from the ego. So you already recognize that this communication is more about what they want or more about what they are saying than what you are saying. Are you ready to get to the part where it's about you? It's always about you. Recognizing what you're feeling in your body as you are listening is the first and most important part, because once you have reflected and demonstrated your listening, now is the time for you to express how you feel, what you are connected with in your body, in your experience. And it's so important to do this in a way that is aligned very directly with the reality, the truth of your experience, your experience. So, what we would like to be present to and aware of is the difference between observing your experience and evaluating your experience and them. So, what is evaluation? Evaluation is simply a judgment. So, evaluation is saying, well, you did this and you did that, and this is what happened to me. So, you're connecting the fact that something happened and that had the impact on you versus taking full responsibility for the experience that you had and just observing what was felt and experienced. So, if you can observe what was felt and experienced without the judgment, without the blame, then we're in business. Then we are connecting, because that's how you get to communicate what you're feeling. And that's the best opportunity for connection and openness in order to resolve that, in order to find completion, wholeness with that. So, two things are coming up in this conversation about communication: it's connection and wholeness. We want to connect and we want to create a wholeness so that the communication feels complete. That takes and requires patience and presence. So, to recap, communicate starts with listening, listening to your body and observing the other, breathing, connecting with your breath, staying present. And then the pause and reflection, the opportunity to see if you understood and can clearly communicate what the other person said. And then another pause to see if there is confirmation of that. Otherwise, listen again and try again. So that's the most important part of communication: is, are you listening and are you able to connect and create that connection from presence with the other? This is also your opportunity to connect and create connection and presence with yourself. So it's happening simultaneously. Your part of communicating is to communicate the direct experience that you are having and anything related without the evaluation, without the judgment, without making the other person right or wrong in the experience. Have you ever communicated with somebody and they made you wrong and you felt defensive and immediately the communication broke down because then you were defending yourself and then the other person got defensive and you're both then getting close to either not having a resolved communication or even arguing. It depends on who it is in your life. Notice that process, how that process happens because there is no connection, because there is no true listening. So communication, my friends, it starts, and the most important part of it is the listening. Starts with and follows through with listening. We listen to ourselves, we communicate authentically, our truth, the truth of the experience without the judgment. And then notice what the other person, how the other person responds to that. And then you can say, all right, if you feel like you weren't heard or understood, you can communicate that again and then ask for the reflection. What did you understand about what I said? What did you hear? So that you can then see if there's an opportunity for deeper connection. So there you go. How does communication connect with our meditation practice? All about staying present, patient, and being in the process, remembering that this is a practice through and through, and the more presence and the more patience you can cultivate, the deeper the listening and the deeper the communication. Enjoy this practice, my friends. It will bear you fruit. You will have successful and fulfilling and complete real communication, and enjoy that. Enjoy the process of the practice because it does take practice. It is so easy to judge. We are conditioned to judge and evaluate. Notice what observing can do for you and reflecting can do for you. Thank you for watching this video. The 30 days of meditation, I'll put day 1 in the comments or in the description so that you can, if you are new to this channel, you can start practicing meditation and really start cultivating the subtle qualities that help so much with this process. Thank you for watching, and until next time.